guys, Meredith Gorman here, and are you still not subscribed to Matt's channel? Well, if you're not, hit the subscribe button because he's giving out free picks each and every week. Hope you have a good rest of your day.
UFC Vegas 104, guys. It's a fight night card back at the Apex. It's Vettori versus Dolidze 2. The rematch, nobody really asked for, but here we are. It's a fight night card, guys. We know what to expect here at the Apex. Weak card on paper most times, but hey, sometimes there's great fights. We can't always judge a book by its cover. Let's see what we have this week. I'll break down the main card like always, provide free picks, leans, price talk, and more. No matter how bad the card is on paper, we break these fights down. I watch the fights from the start, the early prelims, all the way to the end, no matter what the fight is. Always love seeing no matter who is fighting. Great entertainment for me. Systemsportscapping.com or link.me/systemcapping for everything system capping. We got client opportunities over there, records, resume, client comments, and much more. Currently handicapping, guys, UFC, PGA, NHL. And also, we will be looking at the March Madness tournament for the first time this year. I've been doing a lot of research the past few months following it. I've been writing. I have some articles that I've been writing for college basketball. So definitely take a look at there. Speaking of college basketball, I got an announcement for the Hot Takes app. Bracket challenge, $25K in prizes, guys. Smaller field too, right? Obviously the ESPN ones, the Yahoo ones, sure, they're fun, but your odds are just super low. You're going to get millions of people that are, signing up for those bracket contests. This one's going to be maybe 3,000 to 5,000 field. So very good chance to win this. So head over if you're not already. I know some of you guys that listen to me probably have already downloaded the app. I'm playing on it. Head over to the App Store, Hot Takes. You can go to hottakes.com. I'll put a sign up link also in the description here. You can click on that and use my sign up code. I just realized recently I had a sign up code that I can send on the from the app, so I'll send that out to you guys. Let's do a UFC 313 recap, and it was a big card for myself and clients. 5-0 card. We cashed on both underdogs in the main event and co-main event. I was on Gaethje, plus 134, great value there. And then Ankalaev at plus money as well. I got it at plus 110. I waited a little bit. I knew Pereira money would come in late for novice bettors. So I was able to attack. And it was a close fight like I expected. I expected it to go a little different than it did. I'm not going to lie. I thought Ankalaev would wrestle a little more. But he was having a lot of success on the feet. I knew he was a very good boxer. And he was able to use that boxing. And what I did mention in the breakdown was, Pereira's going to have to approach this fight different because he's going to be worried about the takedown. He's not worried about takedowns in other fights. Right? So he was worried about the takedown. Okay? And that's what made him hesitant. That's all it is. A lot of people are saying, oh, he wasn't throwing a lot. That is true. It's because he was worried about the takedown. And you know what? I do have to give Ankalaev great pressure. He put excellent pressure on. So I do have to give him that as well. He did try the takedowns, and Pereira did have some great takedown defense. I give him credit for that. But it seems like that's all he trained for this fight. He just didn't let his hands go enough. I did have Ankalaev winning the fight 3-2. Some people thought Pereira won. I don't see it. I think Ankalaev definitely did enough to win that fight. And Gaethje, hey, hats off to Gaethje there. The books had it wrong. You can't have Fiziev favored. He already lost to Gaethje. He's coming off an injury, and he took this fight on short notice. I know he was training, but he wasn't training for Gaethje. He's still taking a fight on short notice. Gaethje was training for Hooker. Similar styles. It's going to be a striking battle. Obviously, the reach is different. But yeah, the plus 134 on Gaethje was a no-brainer. Definitely had to back him there. We also hit on a 2-fight parlay. We also cashed on a roughie by finish. That was a nice cash. We hit another one. It's slipping my mind now. But 5-0 card. A very nice night for us. Going to be the start of a nice run here, guys. And hey, that roughie finish. Wow. Wow. You're not going to see too many better spinning kick finishes like that. I feel for Bobby Green. I don't believe he has much left. If he does continue to fight, it has to be against veterans, guys that are about to leave the UFC. Not these up-and-coming studs, right? Especially from the fighting nerds. Wow, love this camp. Best camp going right now in the UFC. Let's get right into this card, guys. Let's get right into this card. Shop around, like I always say. For instance, the Gaethje, and I got Gaethje plus 134. That's the highest in the market, right? There's 125 out there, 130. If you have multiple books, you can get the best number. Even Ankalaev, plus 100 on some books. I was able to get a plus 110 because I have access to multiple sports books. Vettori, minus 160 versus Dolidze, plus 130. The rematch nobody really wanted. I don't hate the fight. But we've seen this already, right? Slower style fight, two physical guys. Should stay on the feet for the most part. First fight was very close. Right, Vettori, volume guy. Looks like he has a lot of power, but he doesn't. He does not have power. Don't let it fool you. Right, 19 wins for Marvin, only 2 KOs and TKOs. He's just a volume style striker. He does have 9 submission wins. Limited wrestling. But the Dolidze ain't getting submitted. Very good grappling as well. Very physical, hard to bring down. Both guys have never been finished on the feet, guys. No TKO KOs on the record. Very impressive. Very durable guys here. Keep in mind here, guys, Marvin is coming off surgery. Shoulder surgery recently. That's never good. That's something to keep in mind here in the handicap. And why I'm having trouble getting to him. Especially at this price. Also, another thing to mention, right? It's starting to pile up. Just like Fiziev last week, it's piling up. Concerns are piling up on Vettori. He hasn't fought for almost 2 years, guys. He hasn't fought for almost 2 years. More red flags for me, right? And when I see a favor price beside multiple red flags, concerning. Dolidze, we know how he fights. Very physically strong, well-rounded, more power on the feet, 8 KOs, TKOs out of 14 wins. Don't see him knocking out Vettori. We just haven't seen it. So I don't believe it happens. Those are some sort of cut. It's a fight I definitely could see going 5 rounds. Hard to see a finish at some point. Unless, again, a cut, an injury, something like that could happen, of course, right? It's a fight at the end of the day. And again, shoulder surgery. Maybe his shoulder goes out. There are some concerns here on Marvin Vettori. A couple things with Dolidze, though, that is concerning. Obviously, the cardio will go to Marvin. He's been multiple 5-round fights. He does have the better cardio. Dolidze has gas later in fights. So 5-round fight, yes, Marvin Vettori gets the cardio. And he does have a significant strike advantage, even though it's not that significant. But Dolidze's low volume guy, which always concerns me if it gets to the judges. Right? Is he going to be able to throw enough to get the win on the judge? He wasn't able to in the first fight, guys. So that's concerning here, right? And when you're expecting a close fight, there's concerns with Marvin returning from the shoulder injury and not fighting for almost 2 years. It's not a fight you want to get heavily invested in. I would love to see these two try to wrestle, grapple, see how that goes. I think it would cancel each other out. So we're not going to see it. It's going to stay on the feet like the first fight. Not a fight you want to be heavily invested in, guys. I could see it going either way. If I had to bet, it would be a value bet on Dolidze plus 130. But you don't have to bet it. That's the good thing, right? You don't have to bet it. A lot of concerns here for me to get excited on either one side. I do see a little value here, plus 130 on Dolidze. Vettori surgery, the layoff, concerning for me. Co-main event, Dos Santos minus 200 versus Nkwani plus 170. Chidi, I like to call him. That's his first name. On paper, this actually could be a fun fight if it stays standing. I think Dos Santos' game plan and path should be to try to wrestle. He's not a pure wrestler, but he has that in the back of his tool shed, if you want to say. He can wrestle Dos Santos. So try to get the fight down to the ground. You don't want to stand and bang with Chidi. That's his only path, really. Let's be honest. Chidi's actually on a 2-fight win streak here. Wins over McKee and Gooden. Very low-level guys. Dos Santos coming off a nice KO versus a low-level guy as well. And does have the better resume, right? But years ago, he has some nice wins. St. Denis, Max Griffin, and Sean Strickland. That one was back in 2018. He's older, guys. He's 38. That's concerning at the 170 weight class. So that is something worth mentioning here. And at minus 200, it's steep. Very steep for me to back and get excited about. If we look at some of the stats here, volumes between these two guys are very similar, just under 5 significant strikes per minute. I give Dos Santos, the wrestling advantage here, but will he use it? It's the big question. Will he use it? That should be the game plan. Not stand at range with Chidi. Does have a huge reach advantage here at 7 inches. Don't just stand at range and make it a kickboxing fight. You'll probably lose that fight. Make it an MMA fight. If Dos Santos makes an MMA fight, I do believe he wins this fight, and that minus 200 does pay off. I will be betting this fight personally. There is some value there on the submission prop. I keep seeing it like plus 1,000, but Chidi does have a black belt. That is worth mentioning here. And I don't know if Dos Santos will try to wrestle and get this fight down to the ground. I have this line more as Dos Santos as a slight favorite, like minus 150, minus 140. So, if you like to find some value, I do believe there's some on Chidi, but I'm not in the business of betting on Chidi. So I'll be staying away from this one, guys. Hernandez, minus 200 versus Holoba, plus 170. Alex Hernandez. Who is Alex Hernandez? The guy that should have been, very promising coming up. A lot of hype around him, and it just never panned out. Looks great on paper. Has the skills. I think it's a mental side for him. Mental game issue for him. 8 losses now in his career. Classic UFC mistake, rushing him too much, right? But he also was overhyped in my eyes. Sure, UFC rushed him a little bit, but I just think he was overhyped. Can't always, be right about fighters coming up because you don't know really how they shine and in big moments and the mental side of it. Very tough to predict. He's coming off a nice win over Austin Hubbard, scrappy guy. Prior to that, back-to-back losses versus Jackson and Algio. He actually moved down to 145. I thought that was a bad decision, and it did show. He lost both those fights. Now he's back to 155 where I believe he belongs. The issue is, when he moves to 155, there's a strength concern. And you see him getting taken down easily. So that is an issue for me. His strength and the mental side of his game. Holoba, physical guy, can wrestle a little bit. He is 38, right? Hernandez is going to be the much quicker guy in there, more athletic, better movement. But how about scrappy? He could try, he also beat Hubbard. Won 3 of his last 4, 2 of those UFC wins, guys. Hernandez is just not a guy you can trust, right? A fight that I believe he should win. On paper, from a skill set standpoint, he should win this fight. However, he just doesn't show up a lot of times. He's just very difficult to handicap. I've lost on him at least one time, I know, on fight. I usually stay away, but I have lost in the past on fights because he just doesn't show up. So I've learned to stay away from him, especially at minus 200. If you want to take a shot at him at plus money in a fight, sure. Not going to call you crazy there. But when you see him minus 200, that's a big price. You got to be very confident. Even though I do believe he wins this fight, guys. He finds a way. but not thrilled about the price. So yes, Hernandez will be the play, but I believe you're forcing the bet a little bit, and that's not the business I'm into, right? You don't do long term when you're forced to bets in the UFC. Again, for podcast purposes, Hernandez will be the play. Let's see if he shows up. Blackshear minus 450 versus Gibson plus 350. Big price here. Yes, Blackshear should be the favorite, but almost 5-1 favorite? Is it warranted, guys? I would say no. He is coming off a nice win over Cody Stamann. That's his biggest win yet. But what does Cody Stamann have left? Not much. Let's be honest here, guys. Prior to that, he lost back-to-back fights. Mario Batista, good fighter. And then Montel Jackson as well. Two good fighters. Gibson on back-to-back wins, right? Keller, who's done, right? And Helger, very low-level guy. So I get it. Right? I'm not saying Blackshear shouldn't be favored in this fight. I do believe he wins this fight. But at minus 450, yikes, guys. Sneaky prop here. If you like to, go prop hunting and pick outcomes, Blackshear by submission could be live here. Gibson has been submitted 4 times, guys. Blackshear has 10 submissions. These are numbers I like to see when I'm taking outcome longer shot props, right? Gibson does not have good submission defense. Blackshear, 10 submissions. So he's going to have a wrestling advantage. He's going to have a grappling advantage. On the feet, it's probably fairly similar. But yes, I do think Blackshear wins this fight. He also has a volume advantage on the feet. So things I like to see. Just I can't get just a minus 450 I don't agree with. I believe he should be a high 2-1 favorite, 3-1 favorite in this fight. So yes, the rightful favorite here. I do believe Blackshear wins this fight. Could sneak onto a 2-fight parlay for me. May take a shot in the submission market too if I can get a good price on the submission. It does look live here in this fight, guys. Last fight I'll talk about here. It's a Kazakhstani fighter making his debut minus 350. Nurgazov versus Ribrio plus 275. I haven't heard anyone say his name yet, so I'm just trying to read it out loud. 10-0 from Kazakhstan. They continue to bring up talent, right, in the Kazakhstan world and the region. He did fight on the Dana White Contender Series, guys, and won by a head kick KO in the second round. Very impressive. He has power, good striker. Cardio can be concerned, but Ribio also has cardio issues. He'll have much more experience, though. However, just not a durable guy. Not durable at all, guys. Finished 5 times out of 7 losses, and he's 1-2 in the UFC. Right? Now, he does have the experience advantage. It does always something I factor in. All right, guys making their debut, I always factor that in. The experience here, though, Ribio, but I'm not in the business of betting, short, undefeated guys coming on their debut. I don't love it, even though I do believe he wins this fight. Minus 350, though? Minus 350? Is he a hot prospect? No. He's not a guy that's getting a ton of talk. Keep that in mind, guys, right? He's not some Rachmanov, coming in from Kazakhstan. He doesn't have that hype around him. Even though I do believe he wins this fight, the price is not warranted at minus 350. Can I bet Ribio? Am I in the business of betting Ribio fights? No, I'm not in the business of betting on him. I don't believe he's a good fighter at all. But he will have a few skill sets here. Let's see if he takes advantage of that. Not a great card, guys, but like always, we break them down for you, break the fights down. That will do it. Enjoy the card. March Madness around the corner. Excited for that. Like I always say, guys, bet smart and know your limits. Big pay-per-view card next week. Looking forward to that.